man, one of the best baseball experts out there, has been with us for many years. Kevin Kernan, he works for Ball 9 now, but he was covering baseball when we were all in diapers. Not me. I'm as old as Kernan. But he was watching some basketball as well last night from ball9.com. Kevin Kernan joins us now. And what did you think of 63s being shot and 15 going in?
Dibs, I covered the 1984 series between the Celtics, Bird, Magic, all those guys that hung out with him at the LA Marriott pool back in the day when you can actually hang out with players. And that's why I tweeted at one point, I put up on X, what would Larry Bird think of this? It's not basketball. If I want to see 63s, I can go down to the park, block and a half away, watch the kids play at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, go over to my Y. And I think a big lesson is being learned here, and good for the Knicks, because they're playing hard. They're doing what you should be doing. Brunson is a legitimate star, but it's not only that. I think that some crazy number. I might have the number off. I think it was 20 of those missed threes came within 10 seconds. When you're winning by 20 in the third quarter, you should be throwing up threes. I don't know if you saw the shot where they took all their shots from the post of it, and it's all beyond a three except for one in the paint. So I think the Celtics may learn a lesson, but to me, the Celtics it's just analytics going wild in all sports. They took over. I said that on my podcast this morning. It's like termites. These nerds are like termites. They get in every team. They get in every sport. And all of a sudden, they just eat away at the structure and the fabric of the sport, and this is what you get. It wasn't entertaining at all in my book.
We take get out of science class and get back to gym class. Sick of these nerds.
Exactly.
All right, explain this to me since you're a true journalist. Am I a jerk, or do I not have a right to know what the hell is going on with Porzingis? It's been cited as an illness. It's like we're here. He is who he is. He misses things all the time. Why is this a mystery? Am I a jerk for being like, I need more, man? I need a little bit more than just this is an illness.
No, we definitely need more. We need more journalism. And to your point, I think it was pretty ironic. You guys may have talked about this during the week, but that sovereignty beat journalism in the Kentucky Derby. We need more. It drives me nuts, fellas. Especially, I'm with you. What's wrong? What's going on? It's been lingering. This lingering. After COVID, we got a little crazy with everything, and this is just another example of it. And I think we're paying the freight. The fans are paying the freight. They need to know what's going on with their teams. And the fans, you're not actually being a jerk. You're actually caring. That's what fans do. They care about their teams, or they care about the games and what's going on. And plus, if you want to throw the X factor in here, if you're betting things, you want to know who's healthy, who's not, what kind of sickness this is, what's going on. So it's wrong on every account. It's wrong on every account. It used to drive me nuts in the NHL when they lower body stuff and all that stuff. But see, the NHL, though, is so forward on everything else. I let that slide with the NHL because they're the greatest athletes still with what they do. But it shouldn't be happening. We need to know what's going on with injuries.
You can always learn a lot of history when you read the stuff that Kevin writes about. Your latest one 2 days ago, swing batter. Yeah. You go all the way back 100 years and talk about Rogers Hornsby and some of these other cats being fined $50 for striking out with guys on second and third. Unproductive at bats.
Hell yeah.
Explain more and explain how the hell is Judge hitting 435 games into the season and they're still pitching to him. Ben and I say this all the time. How are you still pitching to this guy? There's like 10, 20 people hitting 300 in the whole league.
Yeah, it's I try to look at things differently, Dibs, because I can do big picture and I can write what I want. I have no editors in my way, basically. So I was thinking back 100 years ago, Hornsby hit 403. He's the only guy, him and Ty Cobb, that had 3 seasons of 400 batting average. Wow. But more importantly, in 1925, he took over as manager, and he was old. He was old school back when old school was old school, and they didn't like him too much, the players. But he immediately instituted a $50 fine if you took a called strike on with runners on second and third. Now that's all we see. That's all we see. The A's twice struck out in the 10th inning with the bases loaded last night with called strikes. these players think they're umpires now. That's the problem. And the ABS fed into that. So it just, by him doing that, he's changed the culture. They were a middle-of-the-pack team. The next year they come back and win the World Series. It beat the Yankees when Babe Ruth decides, because there were boneheads players back then, too. Babe Ruth decides to try to steal second, and it's the last out of the seventh game of the World Series. So, and why they're pitching a Judge? Because they're nerds, and they think that their system is better than any individual ability. They're always 2 years behind. If you remember, I told you at least 2 years ago the new steroid would be stolen bases. And now, here we are. They finally figured out. Ben's team has finally figured it out. They lead the world in stolen bases, the Cubs. They're doing some great things. So they still think that they can execute. They're looking at what Aaron Judge used to swing at, not what he's swinging at now. They don't watch the games. It's that simple. And it takes them a while to catch up, so that's where they are. That's why they're still pitching it. Especially when Bellinger isn't hitting. There's no Soto around. Goldschmidt's doing his thing, but Goldschmidt is nothing near Judge. And credit Judge for being an adjustment player. I think it's so important. I remember telling him, stop running in the walls, Aaron. You're too good. You're too big. You're a moose. You're running in the walls. You're hurting yourself. Don't dive for balls. Stay on the field. He made those adjustments. And then he's made these other adjustments now. He's hitting the ball to the other field, too. And, I'm slow. I will say this. I'm going to be positive here. I'm seeing some changes there. I don't know if you guys have been following the A's and Jacob Wilson, what he does, the little shortstop.
We do.
He's been doing great. He won another game. He's got 3 walk-offs. He just put the ball in play. He hit it. He hit it to where the green was, hit a little ground ball, won the game. So some teams are doing it. I think the Cubs are doing a pretty good job of it as well. The Padres are doing it. It's the arise factor, and we talked about that 2 years ago when he got there. And so yeah, it's. But I love what Judge is doing. I won't get into the 400 stuff until May because it really doesn't count till then. But he's putting the ball in play. He's taking advantage of Yankee Stadium, and he's taking advantage. He's smart. In one word, in one sentence, he's smarter than the pitchers. He's smarter than the nerds.
What are the Boston Red Sox going to do at first base for the rest of the season? I do see Romy Gonzalez out there as the penciled-in starter. They also have Rafael Devers that could possibly do it. Connor Wong, maybe one of these catchers, steps up in that position. We were kicking around a bunch of pipeline stuff yesterday. What have you heard? What do you think that the Red Sox are going to do to replace the able-bodied the unabled body of Tristan Casas?
Yeah, I think they're going to go through the system with guys, what they've basically been doing. Now, there's no way in the world they're going to do anything with Devers and keep him in DH. You can't screw around. Can't continue this. Even if you put him back to third, you can't screw around with guys, and you can't screw around with Bregman. They're doing well. So knowing Alex so well, he's going to try to, they're going to put their finger in the dike for now, and see how it goes. And I remember you guys asking me about Campbell, and I told you how much I liked him, but that's what happens with young players. Things happen. I mean, you saw the terrible injury with the Reds player yesterday. Ran into the wall.
Broke his arm. Should have got called. That should have been a catch, by the way. I thought that should have been called a catch. He caught it. He didn't pull it out of his glove because he broke his arm.
Yeah, that's the rule. You can't. You guys are supposed to pull it out of your glove.
Show it to the umpire.
What?
When you see the transfer.
You gotta see the video.
If I catch a ball and I get shot and I'm laying there dead in
you still got to pull it out.
You are kidding me.
Or I have to run over and pull it out of your glove and say, hey, he caught it.
God,
He's dead, but
if it stayed in, the teammate could have pulled it out. But that's the rule. Is life's not fair. And I'm not picking on the kid.
Right.
But I want to make it clear. One of my biggest things that I've noticed through the years, and actually Judge and I talked about this many times, all these players come to the majors and they don't know how the parks are built. And that park has Truist has no foul line area to run into. I know he's trying to make a play and improve his team, but you got to be smarter there. You got to know the wall is coming up, and you got to cushion yourself. It's a hustle play, good for the kid, but it's go take Tony Gwynn used to take 2 buckets of balls every park he went to every time on the road. First thing at 2:00 in the afternoon. That's what we need to get back to. One other point I got to make on Judge too. When I talk about being smart, Judge is so smart. When they said you could have beards, he didn't get a beard. Devin Williams created all the beard stuff, and look where Devin Williams is now. So it's just The game is just don't be a dope. Really, it's really that simple. Don't be a dope, and you'll be successful in baseball.
Listen, I brought up Derek Jeter. That Derek Jeter was all about just playing baseball. Didn't do anything. He wasn't like flashy, flamboyant, or whatever. I mean, he just wanted to play baseball, and it annoyed people because he was so boring. I used to interview him when I was on XM. It was boring, but that's him.
I asked him once, real quick, I got to tell you, I asked him once, because that's a great thing you bring up. I said, how come you never get in trouble? I know you go out and have fun. How come you never get in trouble? And he talked about it's all about baseball. And he told me, this is pretty far back. He goes, hey, Kevin, I was in Japan, and they had these things called camera phones, so everybody can take your picture. So I always make believe everybody has a camera phone. He said that before camera phones came here.
Oh, no, and him and Albert Pujols were brilliant, too. They would never take a picture in a bar. They would say, I'll take a picture with you, but they walk outside the bar so you couldn't have alcohol in the picture.
Cell phones.
They were always worried and cognizant about their reputations and stuff like that.
And Judge is the same way. The litany goes on, thank God.
Wanted to talk about the hitting continues. 17 teams hitting below 245 again. They had the stupid torpedo bat thing for a week, but most of those guys that are using them are hitting 200 or lower. Why are these guys not hitting? What analytics people could be saying that less contact is better?
Yeah, that's a great question. And they're not hitting for a couple of reasons. Because, first of all, they're not in the mindset of hitting. Getting back to Jeter, looking for a fastball all the time, inside out it, reacting. These guys are looking for their pitch all the time, and that's why you have so many calls. So that was the article, too. It was all about that. They're not hitting because they're not mentally ready to hit. The ABS system has turned them into umpires, and they also have so much, and this gets to the next point, they have so much in their head now from all the nerds that they can't think straight when they're up there. And I think that's why. That's because the team that's baffled me this year is the Rangers. That's why the Rangers went to Brett Boone. I think they want to go back to just a guy who hits. He has a plan. Keep your plan. The plan is to make contact. They're all looking for the perfect thing. Pete Alonso, God bless him. He's hitting 344, leading the National League. Yep. He strikes out on a 3-2 pitch. That was the pitch that used to be the one you foul off. And here's the other thing with that. Even if the pitcher makes a great pitch, and you guys make great pitches, what do you do on a 3-2 count? You at least foul it off. And then you work with the nerve. You attack the nerves. Now you move up the pitch count. So none of it makes any sense. Some teams are making sense. Like I said, the Padres, I think the Cubs are making sense with some of the things they're doing. But it's a mental thing. They're all outthinking themselves, going back to my if you think, you stink thing. That's a big part of it.
The thing I wish Major League Baseball would realize is, as Cubs fans and just speaking for fans, like how exciting the stolen base is right now. More than ever. Like when Peter Crow Armstrong gets on first, it's like, okay, here we go. Yep. Who's going to get him? Is it going to be the first pitch? Is it going to be the second pitch? Oh, he got him again. And like it's now become like a bigger, I don't know, a more emotional, fun thing in Wrigley Field that I hope that Major League Baseball as a whole kind of taps into. Not just, obviously, as a strategy in the game to put more runs on the board, which seems pretty damn logical of why you would want to do it, but it's also a lot of fun, man. And it's to me, it might not be right up there with the home run, but I think it's something that the fans really love seeing nowadays.
It engages the fans.
Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly. That's why we love baseball. It engages you. And to your point, the Cubs are hitting 283 with runners on base. Part of that is because the pitchers are freaked out because they know the Cubs are going to run on them.
Say that all the time.
That was what the Cardinals did to us in the 80s and 90s. It freaked out my coaching staff to where they were screaming at me to hold guys on all the time.
Yeah, meanwhile, let me strike them out, all right? Let me just strike them out. That's going to be the attitude. But, yeah, no, it's I'm hoping it's turning. I don't see it turning that much. And also, you saw, too, the strike zone has shrunk a little bit this year because the buffer is smaller. Instead of 2 inches, it's only 3/4 of an inch. So everything is going in the hitter's favor, and they're still screwing it up. I think if they just get in the box now with that mind, like stolen bases, you're not going to steal a base unless you get the and again, I said it 2 years ago, every team should be stealing bases like the Cubs, no matter who you are. You could be a good base runner. First to third, the Tigers are doing it. There are some teams doing it. So it engages the fan, much like the argument with umpires, like Mike Schilt had last night. It engaged the Padres. It woke them up. This is not the MLB wants you to be engaged by signing up for some BS dream season, BS whatever they have they're promoting. Engage the fans with an exciting team
with a great product. Yep.
It's the great. That's why I stay with it, Dibs, because it's the greatest. And actually, Jim Cott sent me a wonderful note this week, Hall of Famer, saying, Kevin, I just want to thank you for relentlessly not giving in like everyone else has in the media. I'm still, I'm still fighting the fight, and I'll
fighting the good fight. That's why we love you, Kernan. Don't give up the fight. Well, KK, until we talk again, man.
I'm a stubborn Irishman. I will not give up the fight, and I'm right. I'm right.
Exactly.
That's right.
Exactly.
All right, brother. Be good, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks, you. KK. Kevin Kernan, everybody. Check out his stuff on ball9.com. We'll take a quick break, come back, do first dibs question of the day.